Welcome back to Backyard Cars, and today we're not wrenching on our own stuff. We have a special project. So let's get to checking it out real quick. What you are looking at is a 1950 Ford Custom. That is custom. It's a friend's vehicle that his father owned, and his father passed away and left it to him. And his father did a bunch of custom work to it, like the custom Lincoln dash, I think. Some interior, shaved the door handles. There's a bunch done to this old girl. And today we are going to pull the tired old 350 out of it and stick in a 383. I got the hood open, so let's peek in here. With this custom pink engine bay in the old tired 350, and she is just a leaking oil. It's a runner. It's got fuel that's old, and well, if you were standing here with me, you could smell how old the fuel is. And it fires up and runs right now, but she's just pouring oil out everywhere, and it's just a tired old motor. But we got a fresh in the box crate 383 that's going to go down in here. And normally I don't do, work on other people's cars. I just, do work on mine. But I like the story. And my buddy, well, he don't have the time to do it, and Pops bought the 383, never got around to putting it in there. And I figured, well, let's just give him a hand. Get the old girl going. What do you think? I don't know what this dash came out of. Do you recognize it? I'm thinking a Lincoln or a Cougar or something. And it's hacksawed in here, but it works. We got a lot of room back there, actually. Got the Lincoln back seat. Heck, I think there's more room in the back than there is up front. But I feel like this was a cool little project, and Pops wanted the 383 in here, so let's get the 383 in for my buddy and his dad. It's a pretty jazzy custom car. You don't see these old girls running around much. Well, you seen under the hood. It's got an automatic 350 TH350 tranny, 9-inch Ford rear diff. Let's see what's in the trunk. I'm sure there's something in the trunk. The old trunk doesn't like to cooperate with us. Let me see if I can't set you down and get it open. Alright, with the trunk open, we got air cleanage. Well, it looks a little small. This is a power steering box. I think the steering box that's in it has got some slop in it. The battery is here in the rear. I think that's the harmonic balancer. Alright, well, we don't have many parts in here. Not too bad of a car, though. It's pretty solid. And, a lot of custom work done. What do they call that? A Frenched-in stereo antenna. That's pretty nifty. It's not a bad old car. The paint job is in pretty good shape. I dig the flames. These are pretty jazzy. Looks like it's going to need some tires. But that might not be too bad, Good looking ride, huh? So, I guess I gotta move some cars around. I guess let me get the keys to some of these other rides, because I'm not standing out in the sun today doing this. Get some things moved around, and then we'll fire it up and put it up in the shade there. See what we can do. We've got some of the electrical stuffs, the connectors and things, marked off and pulled to the side. Since none of it's factory, I figured it'd be the best bet to just mark it off. It should be pretty straightforward. It's just a motor in and motor out, swapping what we need to the crate motor. I think it hasn't been started or ran in like a year and a half. And by the smell of that fuel, that would probably say 2 years. I mean, it's right, you know. It's like turpentine. You gotta feed her. Oh, I'm losing fluid on the ground. I gotta get a bucket. I need a bucket. It's pouring in the pan. I don't know how I feel about the pink motor. Oh, the water neck here is come apart. See all the metal bits and shavings? Bottom portion right here has got a huge hole in it. So, new water neck, yeah, gotta put that on the list. Okay. Right. She's detached. Well, the clamp is off. Let's reach down in here and give it a tug. Yep. Okay. Don't do that. Don't. Oh, man. It's half good. If half of it makes it in, is that acceptable? I think that might have been less than half. Okay. Oh, yeah, that was definitely 50-50. All right. Well, you know, you win some, you lose some. What a mess. I hope there's nothing underneath there I gotta get to anytime soon. No, I gotta get to the torque converter bolts. Okay. Just, you know, just keep plugging forward. I mean, once it's already on the ground, there's nothing you can do. Alright. That's got a spring. Oh, that's my hose clamps. Well, the camera overheated. Well, I overheated. But I just kept on getting it. So we got all the accessories off and the headers are loose. And we're down to the tiny things left. So I'm concerned that when I start lifting this out, this stuff's going to hit over here. So I got both valve covers loose, and we're gonna bump in here and see what the inside of these rockers look like. Just take a look at the motor, even though we're getting rid of it. Might as well take a peek at it, see what's going on. Get the carb off, you know, so we can put a plate there to pick it out. Probably got to drain the fuel out of this joker too. It was some nasty stuff. This motor actually looks pretty clean. ABS too. That's not a bad car. Well, that fuel is just foul. It just reeks out here. That stuff. That was causing a leak, I'm sure. So I can get the motor out without bang, 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 you know, around everything. Probably the pulley's off the front. Maybe not. It might clear. Maybe so. Who knows? So I'm down to torque converter bolts, the starter, dropping the headers, bell housing bolts, motor mount bolts, then the bell housing bolts, and out she goes. Right? I think that's one of them Performance aluminum intakes that they, you know, hot pink on us. All right, well, let me get you in here. As you can see, it's pretty clean. Yeah, it looks like we're on a compression stroke too. It's even clean all down in the intake. Look how clean that is. I'm gonna have to run the casting numbers on this block just for fun, you know, see what it is. There goes that neck that just rotted out. Look at that hole in there. I'm gonna say this is probably the Mr. Gaskets water neck. That's pretty common for them things. What's that? Is that control modules aftermarket maybe? I don't see those stickers on the ones you get from the O'Reilly's. O'Reilly's. So we're all good, right? I probably got to get those pulleys out, you know, to make sure that that clears. And then my starter down in here. But look, that header just won't move. That might be enough, honestly. Get somebody to pull on that and the other one while I jack her up out of here. But the old girl is almost out. And then of course, while we've got this motor out, it'd probably be smart to put a front seal in the transmission. Right? I mean, how many times have you picked up an old car that ain't been around running in 2 years and you start driving it and then the front seal on the trans goes out? And, well, damn it. So, that's where we're at now. Because I got all this done and it's hot, I'm probably going to take a break. So, I'll bring you back in when I don't know where we're going to start next. I probably got to get it jacked up. I got to just bite the bullet, get underneath it. I don't want to, but that's where we're at now. Not too bad, not too shabby. All right, let's get. Well, as you can see, we got it out. I'm sorry, but that's what happened. We got it out, and we're going to clean up that engine bay a little bit. And it's sitting here on the ground. And I'm about to go through a little bit on, you know, checking some things. So if you wanted to know what this is, well, you got a casting number here. And sometimes you can run that casting number. In this case, that casting number was used for 2 different motors. A 327 and 350s. 2 or 4 bolt main from 69 to 79. So, well, that doesn't really narrow it down. That just verifies that it's a 350 or a 327. And at this block, I'm saying it's definitely a 350. So, what you got to do to determine really what this motor is you got to look up the suffix code. And the suffix code, it's located right up on this block right here. Let me grab my phone. And here is going to be a serial number that matches your serial number on your motor, your car, or whatever car it came out of. That's like the last 7 of the VIN number of the car. Then right over here is like build stuff for the car. The last 3 digits, and I know you can't see them, but right there it says CNV. And if we go to the handy dandy box of pocket computers, look up some suffix codes, we're going to find that, let's see, CNV shows this as a 1970 350, would have had a turbo hydro trans hooked to it. It's a 250 horse motor, and it came in the 70 Caprice. So essentially that front suffix code tells you everything you need to know. And I know a lot of you guys already know this, but some of you fellers might not know. So I'm just helping you out a little bit. That's how you can check to see, you know, what you're rocking with. Now, with that said, the next thing that I decided you know, just for giggles, let's run the casting number of the heads. And they're typically found right here, maybe even over here, whatever the case may be. In this case, our casting date and time is here, and our code is here. And that is 397 0136. And I know 136, well, those are no good heads. And the Caprice and the 2-bolt main and all that would have told you that they're no good heads. But we hope maybe somebody put on some better heads. But these heads are 1.7 intake, 150 exhaust, and, well, this is definitely a 2 to 250 horse motor. Nothing special. And you can see I done stripped down a bunch and got the valve covers off, and I'm about to slap on some, valve covers just to keep the dirt out. That'll go along with this motor to whoever or wherever it goes, because I'm not keeping it. It's not mine. It's going back to my buddy's house. And somebody is supposed to buy it from him. And that guy got a deal. I mean, he's going to get a small block for 75 bucks. That runs. Needs some gaskets, some seals, but it runs. So, he'll be alright. $75, that's great. And I'm sorry I didn't show it coming out. I was busy doing other things. Wasn't thinking about the camera at the time. I just had some help real quick to take the hood off, and I went with it. One guy can't get the hood off by himself. That's a heavy hood. So, when my help was here, I just jumped on it. And then, when I got the hood off, I just picked the motor out because, well, I was excited I got the hood off. And then realized, well, you didn't record it. But who needs to see it coming out? I mean, it came out. What you guys want to see is what's going back in, right? I hope I cross-threaded that. Well, here's what we're sticking in. And that is a Blueprint Engines 383. Long block. Fresh balancer. All the doohickeys and doodads. Had to get a 1-piece seal flex plate because the 2-piece seal flex plate, the bore is bigger. You guys know that. But that's what we're looking at. Brand new Blueprint Engines 383. And I know, this is not budget stuff here, but it's not my build. My buddy's dad already bought this motor. It's been sitting for 4 years, and, well, we're throwing her in there now, finally. So, don't criticize that it's not a budget deal. I mean, this, honestly, to buy what you see here, no flex plate, no harmonic balancer, no water neck, a couple other little things. Like I got some other little things on here, but just that long block is about $5 grand. But nowadays you would have $4 or $5 grand trying to build this, so that's not a bad buy. Anyhow, she's almost ready to go in. I got everything on here. I got painted up some of this old junk down in here. I'm gonna change that trans front seal right there, just because you're already in here, and it wasn't leaking, but the car ain't moved in 2 years. So who says that we don't get to running on it and it starts leaking? So while the motor's out, smart move to just spend the $3 and replace that. So I'm waiting on that seal to come in. But that's where we're at right now. We're just waiting on a little bit of parts, and we're going to swap that out, and this motor's going to go down in there. I got this plate and a box of stuff down here, and yeah, we went budget. We got the Mr. Gaskets, plate. So, Yahtzee. And there's a Holly chrome pump that's going to go back on there. And then these, of course, were the O'Reilly's bolt kit, Not for this, just the standard little bolt pack right here. Nifty. Nifty and handy, but I got everything swapped over onto this that we needed to swap. And that's where we're at. As far as this goes, waiting on the parts, getting it back in here, you know the drill. I don't need to. Let me get the camera set up for you. I'm not going to show you. I mean, this is pretty simple. We beat that out, beat the new one in. We're not going to show that to you, but I will kick the camera on when we go to put it in, so you can watch us drop it in there, and we go from there. How are we feeling, guys? Going. Nope. I know. Not at all. Yeah, you're not. Huh? And you're on it, but you go down this here. You don't want to move quick. There we go. How bad did that hurt? I don't know. I can move it. Some reason. All right. Your fingers are all right? Okay. That went down a lot harder than I wanted it to. Well, we got the hood back on, and the motor's back inside there, and the bell hasn't hooked up, and the motor mounts are tightened down, and the hood's back on. And nobody wanted to be on camera, so we just did this real quick so they could go inside. So I'm gonna get you in here so you can see the 383 down in its hole, you know, and then you can tell me, does it look better than it did? I'm sure it does. It's a brand new motor. Of course it looks better. All right, so the 383 in its new home. The Stroker. Yeah. Yeah, so now I gotta get power steering and the pulleys and the water pump and the AC back on and bracketry and a distributor and a carburetor, right? Then the headers and gaskets, all the wiring. And the alternator. The alternator's got to go back in too. I think it sits way over here, so everything's looking good. And look, this water neck, it comes with an O-ring that's supposed to sit in here, and when I got it all, stuck it all in its thing, got it all flipped up down, and when I was tightening it down, that dang O-ring moved, and now it's bulged out way up here. So I know as soon as we get some pressure inside the coolant system, it's leaking up here. So I'm going to have to take this back off and get a normal gasket, because I hate the O-ring junk. I mean, you're trying to be too fancy. The old gasket worked for 50 years. Why do we change it? Well, we got to be fancy. But anyhow, that's it. She's in the hole. And there's more work to be done, but I'm losing daylight. So I'm going to have to call it for now and do some cleaning up of my tools. And I got a jack over here. I got to move it back, and straps, and fold up the stand, and there's a lot going on, is what I'm saying. So I'm gonna bring you back in with me when I get back on it, probably tomorrow afternoon. Yep, because I'm done for tonight. Can't wait to fire this up and hear the rumbles. All right, BRB. All right, so we're back at it. It's been a couple days. Took a break. Now we're getting back. I got the power steering pump on down here, and now I got to get the fuel pump push rod in, and the fuel pump and all that good stuff. And everybody knows, well, it's kind of hard to get this to stick up in there and stay. some of these motors, they're bossed down there for a nut. Let's see if we can get you in there. There's a bolt goes through right here. And some of these motors, that goes all the way through, and you can put a long bolt in there and, you know, run it up against the push rod and hold the push rod in place. But in this case, this aftermarket blueprint block, it's not all the way through. So the trick here that I'm going to use is putting some grease on this push rod. And if you put some grease on the push rod, it'll hold it up in place while you get everything in there. And that's the route we're going to go because, well, I don't have any other option. Tongue, play and mess around trying to get the tongue in there and all that good stuff. So, let's get that. Can you even see? You probably can't even see. My arms are going to be in the way. And it works, well, half the time. The other half, it slowly slides back out before you get everything in there. Got fresh new hardware for it and all. Oh, never find that wrench again. Going the wrong way. Going the wrong way. And I'm getting this on now. Just put the fuel pump in because I got to put AC right over top of this, and well, it's going to be hard to get to the AC then. Or get to the, yeah, you know what I was saying. Now, oh, I just dumped old fuel right down on top of the motor. That was good. That's wonderful. Did it slide down on me? Oh, it was starting to. There we go. I know some of y'all want to use studs here, and they work. But who's springing for the studs? Oh, man. This is the It's a nice halfway cool morning here. It's been really hot lately. That's a fuel pump installed. Pulley, water pump. Get this bracket back on, get the AC over, bracket back on for the alternator. That's what we're working on. Then we'll move to, well, I think part of putting the bracket on for the AC is the headers, so I don't think we was touching headers on this side. I think this one, the bracket don't touch that. But definitely got to get the header on for this side because the bracket for here goes through two of those manifold bolts. I didn't design it, guys. Fat Man did, I think. But yeah, let's get set up for that. Well, here we are. Accessories all back on, headers, everything's there. Carb is sitting here, but we don't have the stud kit in it. About to put that in. Got to get the starter on. We're buttoning it up. We're getting closer to firing it up. Right now, I got to get the starter on. I'm still waiting on a distributor drive gear so I can get the distributor in, but we can get a lot of other things buttoned up and holes in it and all that good stuff. Fuel pump. I don't know if you can see it down there. We still ain't got it hooked up. I got to drain the dirty fuel from the tank, but it's looking pretty jazzy in here, huh? It's coming around. So now I got to get the starter on. Let's talk about that for a second. So here we are with GM starters. And I did a short the other day telling you if you had this big starter, you could go down to the O'Reilly's and you can pick up a mini starter, you know, for 90 bucks at your local parts store that'll fit up in there between your headers. And of course everybody said, no, you can't. You got to get the LT and the high performance and all these. They didn't make them till 96, but from 88 to 98, this starter is listed at O'Reilly's. And I'll I'll put the part number in there in the description if you're curious about that. But this starter, they made them from 88 to 98. Somewhere in 96 they offered another option with the straight bolt, and they also offered 3 holes, horizontally. But it's real easy. You just go get what you need. You just go in there and tell them, I need the gear reduction. They're going to hand you this. And then you got to double check it. Just make sure that they're both slant bolts. And, well, I mean, that's pretty much it. Your connectors are the same. All that good stuff. If you're looking for some super high torqueuses, you want to get something that's comparable to the mini starters you buy from the performance stores, well, you just Google a 2006 GMC pickup with the 8.1 liter and get that starter. And that's a mini starter. That's 200 bucks there. But that's a true high torque mini starter. That'll bolt right up to your old 70s Chevrolet. Same deal. You got to get these bolts. Got to get the bolts. They're shorter, and the shank is metric. It's fatter with a standard thread. And that's meant, these holes are not exact. They're smaller on the top than they are on the bottom. And these bolts are fatter. You know how that goes. They get it in there snug and center. If you try to use your old bolts, you're going to have to put 100 washers in there. And then they're not fat enough. So they're going to diggle and jingle and jangle around inside there. You feel me? See, this one won't go in because this shank is actually larger. So, it is just that easy, guys. Don't listen to all those other people. 168 tooth, cross, staggered bolt, it's going to fit. So, let's go ahead and stuff this in to the old Ford and get another step closer. So normally, I would take and get the wires down and plug it in, bolt everything up and get it in there, but the wires are not long enough. So we're going to have to get it in place and then hook the wiring up, which is not, look how easy this gets in here. I mean, that big starter wasn't fitting for nothing. Now we can just make sure that we line it up right. Get them old bolts started. I can't get my hand up there. Might need to get the ratchet on it. There's one. There's another one. Alright. Alright, so we're not going to tighten her all the way down right now because I don't have my ratchets on me and I'm not running over there to grab them. But I'm going to get that way down pretty dang far with our hand. Okay. Just hand tight. It's still pretty far off. Alright, so that's it there. Now, we play the twisty game, trying to get our hands all the way up on the top to get these other ones on there. That's a little tight. But it's gonna work. And no dose trace. Okay, now, I know, you can't see nothing up there. You're just probably watching my head, right? Yeah. All the way up on the top. Of course, it's in a spot you really can't reach. But that's why it's better to have enough to hang. Let the starter hang down. Then you can get all this stuff on there without it being in the tight spot all the way on the top of the deal. So, there we go. Starter's in. It was just that easy. Right? And look at all the clearance you got. Now, I got to tighten it down, fellas. Don't worry. I'm going to come right back and tighten it down. But Just wanted to show you. It's in there and it fits. I don't know. It's a better bet for me than using that big heavy starter trying to bench press it up between all that junk. It's just not, it's not working for me. So I've always done that. And sometimes, I mean, the starter's good and I can get it in and out. I'll keep the big one for a while. But if I got to replace it, we're going gear reduction. That's all I'm saying. All right. So let me tighten that down and we'll get back on to whatever else we're doing up here. All right, we got our carb stubs on. Yahtzee. I probably could have went with the shorter ones, but I didn't. And if we got problems with heat soak or something, we can put a fatter gasket in there and help to get it up off the intake. It's not gonna, I'm gonna have to lift up on the back of the carb to get this one down in there. Yep. Okay. Back of the carb on both sides, of course, because your stubs are too long. We already discussed this. But they'll work. This is always the fun part, when you get to the end, you get close to firing it up, and then you get excited. You're not so excited when you're taking it out, because you know there's a lot of work involved. Can't run that down all the way, you gotta get this one in there. Alright. Yahtzee. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, thank you. I thought they were trying to keep it on me. Why does it feel like it's jamming on me? What is going on here? Huh? Well, I'm making a heck of a mess using my clickety-clack, pumping into the 2-gallon, trying to drain out all that nasty fuel. As you can see, it's flowing and it's got some goobery stuff in it. And I made a mess trying to get it primed, but it's going now. And I'm probably gonna have to find another jug for some more fuel, because I bet there's more than just 2 gallons in the tank. But let's see how it goes. Oh, maybe not. We might already be reaching our fill. I don't know. Let me watch it a little while, see what's going on. So we got our fuel tank drained and about as much as we could get, and we got the lines hooked back up, and we got this line here, and of course I need a fuel filter to stick in, so we'll end up cutting it here and putting a fuel filter in, and then cutting our correct distance up here to keep it up off everything. Right, good to go. Roll sensors back in, wiring's pretty much where it's going to be, carb's bolted down, linkage is hooked up. I think we got everything buttoned up. I think. I could be wrong, but you know, it's looking pretty good, right? So I think I've gotten all I could do today. So what's our next step? What is our next step? Got oil in it, got an oil filter on. Everything's good, right? We need the cam, the gear for the distributor. So now, and I'm not going to do it today, we're actually going to have to pause and wait on that gear coming tomorrow. The next step is to take my dummy distributor and set it down in there and get the drill on it and start running the oil pump. You know, and try to pre-lubricate this motor, since it's an old crate motor. It's been sitting for a little while. We're going to try and pump fluid all through it. Get all that done. Once we got oil pressure and all the air bled out of the oil system, maybe, then what do we do after that? coolant, put the new distributor in, plugs, wires. Then before you plug in the distributor, then we'll use the starter. And we'll crank it round a couple times. I gotta get some breather caps. Got vacuum port right there. Still gotta get that. It's like a MPT 16, something like that. I gotta go get one of those and another. I mean, unless we want to try and hook up Vacuum Advance. Probably not. Alright, so we accomplished a little bit, and now we're back to waiting. So, come on, delivery. So we're ready to start getting it ready to fire. And I want to prime the oil system. So I got an old points distributor that I just gutted. And we're going to slide it down in there and catch the drill on the top and, you know, run the oil pump. Just try and prime the motor up with Earls. Hopefully it works like I want it to. That's probably going to wobble a little bit because, you know, we definitely don't have it all the way straight. Oh, it's actually wobbling a lot. You'd like that to be a little bit straighter, you know, so that you can really get some RPM on it. But that should have got some good oil throughout the whole motor. I could take a valve cover off and double check, but you can hear it draining back down. So that's step one. We'll probably do that again before we fire it up. So round two of pre-oiling, and we've got a manual gauge hooked up here so we can kind of see what kind of PSI we get. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Yahtzee. So now that we got it primed, we're going to put our distributor in. We're on TDC. Roll the timing around till TDC. Lubed up the gear. All that good stuff. Now we got to try and get it to sit down with our rotor button hitting where we need it to hit. I don't want to go in there at all. Okay. Well, why are we hanging? Oh man, first try on the money. It's pretty close. We're gonna take it. That doesn't normally happen. You don't normally get it to just drop right in there. Normally you gotta pick it out twice and reset it, but that's on the money, gentlemen. Sometimes it looks like I know what I'm doing. Most of the time, it's not. Well, we got almost all the plugs on it. Distributor in, plug wires to the sides where they're gonna go. And I was gapping and putting in plugs, and I came across one that's cracked that I gotta return. So I'm just gonna keep moving forward, just hooking up my wires. Just try to keep plugging along, and we'll see where we get with it all. So that's this crazy bobulation. That's one. All right, everything's together. Let's put a little fire in the hole and see what happens. So here it is running idling. It's worked. We worked out most of the bugs. All right. Well, you've heard it run. So let's try to drive it. I don't think it has any brakes. Well, that was exciting. So it's got no brakes, and that's why I just went right there and right back. And the steering does a lot of, steering, but the car doesn't do any steering. So in an effort to get you guys this video out, we're going to call it now and go try to get it uploaded. We got it running. It's got a 383 in it. Do I need to say anything else? I mean, we can't spin the tires yet. It's a brand new motor. We got to get 50 miles on it. Do the first oil change. I can't even get on the pipes for you because, well, it's just not good to get it up without drag on. We got to drive it and do a couple pulls with some, weight on it. But it's driving. You saw it. It drove. So I appreciate y'all watching. Go down and, ring the bell. Do something. Maybe even leave a comment. The pink motor's gone. I mean, what do you got to comment about? It's got a 383. Did I say that? I mean, do you need to say more? It's a bow tie. It's a bow tied Ford. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. But I'm gonna drive it. I'm gonna go cruise it. So join us next time when we do that. Appreciate you watching. And like I said, go drive your car. Go tinker with something you got. I know you got something. If you don't, go buy something.